Western Spring Television. Ours it is.
Yes, good afternoon, viewers. You're welcome to your darling program, The Spring Clinic, coming your way from Western Spring Television on channels 190 Star Times. And you can also follow us on Western Spring Television on all our social media handles. The Spring Clinic is a platform through which we get to discuss issues that has to do with our health, our well-being, from different perspectives, bringing in professionals, stakeholders, other forms of practitioners, even are also welcome on this program. And this afternoon we have a very interesting topic. We've been hearing that doctors are living in droves, nurses are living in droves, and of course, people are scared and saying, how are we going to survive? And some of us may have forgotten about an organization that has been here for a very long time, and that's the Nigerian Red Cross. I have the privilege of discussing with us this afternoon some of the basic information that we can get from the Nigerian Red Cross, not just information, services that the Nigerian Red Cross can actually provide, that can actually bridge the gap that we are having, despite the exit of a good number of our medical people, especially at the point of emergency. I know that WHO is coming up with a lot of trainings that we call task shifting. In psychiatry, I know that they are trying to help people to know how they can actually, attend to people who have mental illness. Yes, I also know too that for people who deliver children, they are trying to also talk about that. And of course, this afternoon, we are going to discuss some of the basic medical tips that the Nigerian Red Cross can actually afford. I'm your regular anchor on this program. I'm Dr. ADEOYE, OYEWOLE, and I have the privilege of speaking with a guest here today. He's trainer BURAIMO, TAOFEEK OLAOLUWA. He's the branch training officer, N.R.C. That's Nigerian Red Cross, OSUN State. Mr. BURAIMO, you're welcome.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yes, sir. So please, can you briefly tell us about this, your organization, Nigerian Red Cross? How did it come into being?
Well, the Red Cross in general is an humanitarian organization which started over 160 years ago by a man while he was on a trip, and he had compassion on the wounded soldiers he saw on a battlefield, so he had to assist them and suspend his journey. But to come down to Nigeria,
who is that man?
His name is late Sir General.
Okay, which country is that?
He's from Switzerland.
Switzerland.
Yes, he's a native of Geneva in Switzerland.
That's okay.
So that happened on the 24th of June 1859.
Wow.
That was when the battle occurred, and it was among the France, Italy, and Austria. So at the point, the man had to, come back to his own country and write everything he witnessed in a book titled A Memory of Sovereigno, where he narrated his experience and things that could be done to ensure that such...
I think it's likely that in that scenario, he saw situations in which, without needing a doctor, without needing a nurse, some lives could have been saved.
Yes.
And so that's what actually engineered the writing of that book.
Exactly, and he did that.
So what did he actually, write in the book?
In the book, he made two major recommendations.
Okay.
And the first was that there should be establishment of a relief society. That was the first thing he talked about.
A what?
A relief organization, a society.
Okay.
That was the first thing he talked about. And the second he talked about was that there should be a formation of a kind of principle that will protect members and the infrastructures of these relief societies. And at the end of the day, that was in the year 1862 when he wrote the book. But everything started working out in the year 1863 when his first recommendation, which was to form a relief society, they had to make what we call the International Committee for the Relief and Wounded.
Okay.
And those ones, the organization is meant to train volunteers in times of peace to assist the military medical corps.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, that led to what we now know as the ICRC,
okay,
the International Committee of Red Cross, and the national society we have right now, which Nigeria is,
okay,
a member nation. And the second one, which talks about the law, is what gave birth to the modern day international humanitarian law.
Okay,
we have right now. And
I want to believe that this man, he had a passion, but he also passed some of these recommendations through established agencies, I guess. I think he went through United Nations.
Yes.
Or, I mean, before it became ratified.
Well, as at then,
yeah,
you know, he went through his country,
okay, yes,
and brought together four other members of four other citizens, okay, from that country, okay, in which they started together as a committee of 5. Okay. Everything started as a committee of 5, then pushed to now what we have as the extensions we have now.
And then, of course, to have the global picture that it has now, meaning that every country in the world also recognize the fact that at some point in time, we may need some people who need to intervene in disaster. What kind of disasters do you think Red Cross may be very crucial to intervene?
Well, whatever disasters we have, yeah, flooding could be considered as disaster.
Absolutely, it is.
Explosions, fire explosion. Yeah. We could have as many as possible.
Even accidents. There are times you're traveling and you have people have an accident. Yesterday or 3 days ago, I was driving past and then I needed to stop at somewhere because some people had an accident. Okay. And there was no immediate evacuation possible. I saw some people carrying one blackboard or something, trying to just fan. You understand what I'm saying? And I'm thinking that yes, beyond providing some fanning, this set of people may actually require that they wish that they can have some form of training that could actually intervene.
Definitely.
So let's come back home. Red Cross. In what ways has Red Cross functioned in Nigeria? Can you cite instances?
Well, as we said earlier about disasters, yeah, you know, in Red Cross we have different departments right now. We have the health department, we have the disaster management, and we have the training, and so many others. Now, in terms of disasters, Red Cross have always responded to disasters. You know, back in last year, we had issues with flooding in Bayelsa and so many other places. Okay,
so Red Cross was there?
Yes, we are always there. We are everywhere. Okay. So
apart from the Bayelsa experience, what in Nigeria? I wanted to bring it home. Okay. You know, some of these things, we hear of them like one far away kind of organization. At times, some people think, is this OYEWOLE program? Do you understand what I'm saying? I mean, you are a bona fide, well-trained personnel of the Nigerian Red Cross. And of course, Red Cross has participated in so many instances in this country. Yes, you're mentioning the flooding in Bayelsa. Which other instances?
Okay, for health, let me just go to health because we have a program right now. There's diphtheria in Nigeria. One of the states that have been marked out is OSUN State. Okay. And presently we are running a campaign to let people know what diphtheria is all about and how to ensure that it doesn't spread so much. Just like in COVID, here in OSUN State, we're here everywhere moving around to educate people. There's something we call risk communication. Okay. And community engagement. Okay. So we're everywhere speaking to people about what COVID is, just like we are doing now, talking to people about what diphtheria is, how it can be. We will still come back to that. I actually want to know what are the basic principles that guide your operation. You know, I'm a medical doctor. Okay. And I know that we frown at quackery.
we frown at people who are not well trained, who are also trying to assume the position of being a doctor. So I want to actually understand the principles, the basic principles or guidelines for, you know, the operation of the Red Cross.
All right. We have 7 principles, okay, guiding the work of the Red Cross, and that is what makes us actually operate successfully without any hindrance. Okay. The 7 of them. The first one is humanity. Okay. We have. What do you mean about that? What do you mean about humanity? Now, we believe that as human, what should come first is that we are human being. Mm-hmm. So we don't need to know the kind of person this person is, either color or whatever, before we render this humanitarian service. It's about having sympathy and humanity. For humanity. The milk of kindness to humanity. Yes, number 1. We have impartiality. Okay. So whatever case we find ourselves, we do not need to be biased in rendering our service. Even if it's going to be my brother, my sister, I don't need to say, this is the person I know, and then decide to shift the help I'm supposed to give to somebody. No nepotism in your operation. Oh, this one is Yoruba, this one is Hausa, no, it's not. This one is we should not find that in the Red Cross. Oh, that's fantastic. Yes. So we have neutrality. Okay. Whatever happens all over the world, the Red Cross is neutral. We don't belong to any group wherever. So if there's any fracas between 2 people, 2 persons, 2 groups, all we have to do is just go there and render our service. Especially at war fronts, if you are involved in, you know, in battle zones, you don't need to take side. We don't take side A or side B. So it's universal. It's universality. So you're not partial. Yes. Then we have the independence. Okay. The independence make our decisions autonomous. So we do not whatever we want to do has to be based on our judgment. We do not allow the external party to interfere in, like political sentiments, in our matters. No. Social sentiments, we do not do that. Sentiments, economic sentiments do not influence. We do not involve in, yes, apart from that. Yes. So we have the voluntary service. Okay. Voluntary service in the sense that whatever we do comes from our heart, and we do not really expect monetary gain or benefit, really. Although in some way or the other, we could be assisted, but whatever we do is really from our own heart, and that allows people to join freely. Because when people want to join Red Cross, they join willingly. It's going to be voluntary, as enshrined in the act that actually established Red Cross, the Nigerian Red Cross Act of 1960, that it is going to be recognized as a voluntary organization that is autonomous, that is auxiliary to public authorities in terms of humanitarian intervention. That's good. Yeah, why should anybody want to acquire this skill, these basic interventional skills? Why do you think it's important in your own opinion? Because I'm sure that when did you join Red Cross? Well, I joined while I was in GSS1. Really? That was a long time ago. Why? What motivated you in the first instance? Well, at first, to be sincere, at first I joined because of the uniform. Okay, you know, back then in Ogun State, I joined from Ogun State, and then, you know, some people will just come to our school wearing white. You know, we see them as, we don't know if they are doctors or if they are naval officers, but you know, by the time we started the whole thing from the uniform. Then when we start seeing that things we learn from the Red Cross will actually give us some life-saving skill, and the exposure, the socialization, then you know, every time we go to places to meet different children, we want to just travel and go around. But beyond that, the milk of kindness to help humanity also must have sustained the drive. But why should anybody want to acquire this skill? Why do you think, if we must talk to people at home, our viewers are listening, they want to know what's the big deal about joining the Nigerian Red Cross? Well, I'll say that no one can exist alone. And to ensure that this love keep circulating, somebody must always be somewhere to pass this love across. Now, I don't really want to talk about the first aid training for now. Okay. Why we need people to join us is to ensure that the services we render to people in terms of humanitarian aid, the assistance we give, get to those who really need it. We need people that have this kindness and can airports driving.
So everybody should, because every household will at one point or the other have some form of medical need. Every household
yes.
will have one or two emergencies.
Yes.
So there's this, I remember growing up, we used to have this first aid box. And ideally, I think it should be in every home. It's also even like in some cars, you see the first aid box.
It is supposed to be in everywhere. Everywhere.
So if it is everywhere, it means everywhere those boxes are supposed to be, we should have volunteers, But since it is a core medical skill, who are the people who qualify to join
the Red Cross?
The Red Cross, yeah.
Okay, when you asked me the question the last time, I said I didn't really want to talk about the training.
Yes.
Because Red Cross, you asked me about Red Cross. Red Cross is more than the first aid it renders.
Okay.
But now that you're asking me about first aid now,
yeah.
Now I would say it is not really a core medical skill. That's how I would say it.
Okay.
Because you don't want to discourage people that are non-medical or that do not belong to the medical profession. You don't want to discourage them from learning first aid. So I'll just say it is a basic skill everyone should have, just like the survival skill. It is simple, such that anyone, even those who do not attend the university, primary school, who doesn't really know how to read, can learn. So I wouldn't want to call it a medical skill, really.
Okay.
They are just skills to learn and apply when they are emergencies.
You don't need to be a science student.
You don't need to be a science student. You may not even go to school.
Okay.
But we can always pass the knowledge.
How do you do it?
All right.
How do you?
What we do when we go out for trainings is to let people understand that, okay, if there is what we call fainting, when there is no enough blood that will drive oxygen to the brain, and the person shuts down and fall. Now, what happens in most places is that they pour water on the person, but then somehow they may cause more harm than the help they want to render.
From your basic knowledge.
From the knowledge, because from the basic they will understand that the issue has to do with the inadequate supply of oxygen to the brain.
Because the blood is not flowing there.
So if we understand that, then there is a basic technique we use to ensure that the person recovers very fast, which is to just elevate the leg up while he's lying down.
When somebody is fainting, or somebody has fainted, it's better to we just try to loosen the tightened object and elevate the legs so that more blood
can so the blood that should go to this part of the body can redirect itself somehow to the brain. And
how about this water that we pour? Is it of any, because I mean, when they say get water, and then you see people coming with different buckets of water.
Our forefathers, they use that over a very long time, which in some cases might actually work.
Okay.
And in some cases, it causes further damage to the person.
Okay.
But the essence is that why we don't really allow people to pour water is that, number one, what has happened to the person has nothing to do with water.
Absolutely.
The second thing is that at that point when the body shuts down, the system cannot control some things in the body. So pouring the person water, you might, in the process, bring the person's temperature to a level which the body cannot actually sustain the function of the body.
Yes, apart from fainting, what other situations? I want you to come up with some.
Well, we could have bleeding when blood comes from the body.
Like in an accident scene where somebody is bleeding heavily.
Yes, that is very common.
What should we do?
Now, when blood comes out, we understand that it is this blood that drives nutrient, oxygen all around the body.
That's life. Life is in the blood.
Exactly, sir.
Yeah.
So when this blood keeps wasting, it could lead to more detrimental cases.
The person
from shock.
Can die.
The person can go into shock.
Yeah.
Then later die if it's not assisted. Yeah. So what we encourage for bleeding is that the major objective is to apply pressure to that part that is bleeding. So it means that if my hand is bleeding, you can simply ask the person to use the hand to apply pressure. If the hand would not be enough, then if I feel the person cannot hold it for that long, could find a towel, a cloth, anything to fold as a pad. Then the person applies it here
to stop bleeding.
the flow of blood out of the body.
What other situations can you give? I want you to give as many examples as possible that you know people encounter now.
All right. In cases of wound,
okay.
In cases of wound, you know, wound somehow is related to bleeding. The only difference is that you can have some wound that blood doesn't really come out, but in most cases blood comes. So if wound occurs, we tell people not to really apply, you know, gone are those days when you apply methylated spirit, iodine, and so many other chemicals that can actually disrupt the healing process.
I get you.
So all you need to do is just, if there is an antiseptic wipe, just use it to clean the surface where the wound is minor.
Yeah,
but we still encourage people that first aid is not the final thing to do.
Also to go to the
person must go to the hospital and get.
Now, but these first aid boxes, I see them all over the place. At times I see some bottles of Coke, some, you know, whatever. What should be inside the, you know, some people put all sorts of things inside the first aid box.
So
what is the minimum?
If I would be sincere,
yes, please.
The first aid box,
yes, please,
for me is just an apparatus standing somewhere. Now, people should get trained first, even if they have first aid, because the most life-threatening conditions do not even need the first aid box.
Absolutely.
So I tell people, you have a first aid box. What if it is fainting? What if it is
outside of the place where the first aid box is?
What if the heart stops working? You would not really need things from the first aid box. But to just talk generally.
When the heart stops working, you guys can do something?
Yes.
What do you do?
We call it's a process we call CPR, a procedure we call the cardiopulmonary resuscitation.
Break it down for us so that some of us will understand this. Okay.
Cardio has to do with the heart. Pulmonary deals with the lungs.
What do you do to stop the heart from stopping?
To stop the heart from stopping? Yeah. No, we do not stop the heart from stopping. We can't stop the heart from stopping. It works voluntarily on its own. Nobody controls the heart to work or not. But when it stops working, there are things we can do to still ensure that we do the work of the heart.
Anyway, thank you. I mean, it's amazing how much knowledge that the Red Cross people have. I've been speaking with trainer BURAIMO TAOFEEK OLAOLUWA. He's the branch training officer of the Nigerian Red Cross OSUN State. Thank you so much for having you here. We still have another segment where another guest will still come and tell us more about the activities of the Nigerian Red Cross. Please stay tuned.
This iconic African presents the narrative of a man destined to exert an imperishable global influence in Western education. His was a story of a freeborn, captured and sold into slavery. He was born in Oshogun, a native Yoruba village near Iseyin in Okeogun axis of southwest Nigeria. Samuel Ajayi Crowther was the foundation student of Fora Bay College, Sierra Leone, the foremost university where the pioneer set of native Africans were educated. Samuel Ajayi Crowther's greatest contribution to humanity was his translation of the Holy Bible into the Yoruba language. The man who authored the Yoruba dictionary was also credited with the translation of English classic hymns into Yoruba and the Ekwere languages. Samuel Ajayi Crowther's private residence in Badagry, incidentally the first story building in Nigeria, is an Akava museum dedicated to the memory of Africa's first bishop. Western Spring Television identifies Samuel Ajayi Crowther as a watershed character in history.
Yes, viewers at home, you're welcome to the second segment of our program, The Spring Clinic, coming your way from Western Spring Television, Oshobo. We can be seen on channels 190 Star Times. I have the privilege of speaking with the Red Cross officers, and I'm speaking this time with trainer OTUN GABRIEL ELUFOLAJU. He's the Disaster Management Officer, Nigerian Red Cross, OSUN State. Mr. ELUFOLAJU, you're welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
It's a pleasure having you here this afternoon.
Thank you very much, sir.
It's like OSUN State is so blessed. I didn't know that Red Cross is disorganized and that we have different kinds of officers with, you know, trainings that could actually impact the society. Now, I will be asking you about disasters. You seem to be the Disaster Management Officer. What's a disaster?
Yes, we can say disaster is any accidents, or any unfriendly activities that happened that goes against the plan of a man. As we do pray that what we did not plan, we pray that it should not spoil what we planned. So in case whatever we are not planned for that is negative when it's happened, we can categorize it to be a disaster. And disaster is in any form. We have a man-made disaster, we have a natural disaster, and most of the disaster we have is what we made by ourselves. We call it man-made. We have majorly man-made disaster than natural disaster, especially in this our country, Nigeria.
What are some of the examples of disasters that you are aware and that you have one or two experiences to manage?
Yes, let me start with the flooding. Let me start. I think that's part of the disaster that we majorly have in our country, particularly this rainy season we have.
Yes.
And for example, I think it was yesterday or day before yesterday, our flooding at Ikire. Ikire, that caused at least for some almost an hour or thereabouts that it obstructed the traffic. In
fact, there was also one along Okefia side, going towards...
yes, that's part of it where we normally have this thing in Oshobo.
Yeah.
Is this Malam Tope area, that Malam Tope, that bridge, almost very close to 264. So those areas we majorly have a flooding. Yes, then so we have always in this bombing.
Yeah,
like
area.
I think last week or a week after thereabout, we have that there's one church without that river, CAC, okay, Balagomi.
Yes, correct.
That church was fully flooded.
Wow.
They were unable to hold the service properly inside that structure on that Sunday.
Apart from flooding,
yes,
what other forms of disaster?
Yes, also other forms of disaster. Then we have fire disaster. As time we have, though that fire disaster is not that rampant in our state, but we have series of that like kind of
gas explosions.
Gas explosions, and some people are burning fuel at home. Then sometimes when we have the high voltage of electricity that just got in flame and spark and something like that. And a part of that fire disaster, the one we have at hand currently now, is the issue of the diphtheria.
What's this diphtheria?
Yes, diphtheria is a bacteria caused. Let me say is a disease caused by bacteria.
Okay. And
in which majorly affects and takes lives of a child starting from a day old till 14 years of age.
How does it affect?
Now, this thing is what we see to be the signs and symptoms of diphtheria is coughing, some kind of the malaria. You see the child be getting very high temperature abnormally. Okay. You see the eyeball of the child being red. Sometimes
that's different from normal cough.
It's different from common. Even in Yoruba, that diphtheria in Yoruba it calls bofun bofun. That's the name called it in Yoruba.
Why is it bofun bofun?
Now, the reason why it's bofun because it affects majorly the throat. If you want to confirm the child has it, try to open the mouth of the child, looking to the like this place. You see the place somewhere very white, very white and very very rashy. And seeing that signs, and it comes another signs that you see this, they call this thing kind of belu or they call it, that normally swell in the neck of a child.
Neck, okay.
So it always comes like that's part of signs and symptoms and like that. And the cough. And the most dangerous thing about this diphtheria thing is that the way it's being spread is, let me say, is as fast as we have this Lassa fever and coronavirus.
That means it spreads.
It spreads very, very fast.
Is it droplet? Is it because it comes?
Now, these are the ways in which diphtheria do spread. For example, now let me say I'm a first aider. I'm disaster. In our society, they call me Mr. Disaster. So let me use myself as an example.
Yeah.
Let's agree that I have diphtheria as I'm sitting right with you now. If I cough without covering my mouth, you are at high risk of contact because you are somewhere close to you. Now let me say I'm tested positive for diphtheria and I remove my clothes in which I sweat into. I put it somewhere. You want to assist me in washing it. If you touch it with your bare hand, you are very exposed to get diphtheria.
Apart from the rate at which it spreads,
yes,
what will require intervention, immediate intervention in diphtheria?
What the major thing that required immediate intervention in diphtheria is the major thing is making availability for treatment.
Okay.
Because diphtheria, the way it spread. Let me go back to where I was coming from.
Okay.
And the people that this diphtheria affected most are children. For instance, if I'm positive for diphtheria, it might not have serious effects in my body because of my age, at least the immunity in my body and the like. But if a child, has it within a very short time, very short time, very short indeed. If you are not up to a week, let us count days. Before you need it will easily germinate.
So what's your role? What's the role of the Nigerian Red Cross?
Yes, the role of Nigerian Red Cross in about this diphtheria is our own is just to create an awareness.
Okay.
There is a campaign. We have a campaign currently going on.
What's your strategy?
Yeah, our strategy on this diphtheria is number one, get aware.
Okay.
If you are aware, and as our father used to say that if you know the route, it will be easily to be channeled.
Absolutely. Yes.
So number one, get aware. If you are aware of what this diphtheria is all about, then you know the precautions. Once you know the precautions, what are precautions?
It will not spread.
Yeah, it will not spread. Yeah. Then the signs and symptoms, and then once you are educated, you are aware. You will be to train and inform others. As my previous colleague, in training, as he said.
Yes.
Now, Red Cross, our duty is just to make sure that you are aware and you know it. There's a difference between knowing something and know how to apply it.
Absolutely.
We used to say that the person that is in Yoruba saying to way, if you don't know about it, if you see it, you will not recognize it.
Absolutely.
So our main.
So what's your ultimate intervention in diphtheria apart from preventing the spread and all that? You want to refer?
Yeah, there's part of the area in which we are contributing diphtheria is one we notice just to keep people informed. Then we make a referral to an hospital. Okay. We are first aid. We are a humanitarian service provider. We only give first aid. So our own is not the final say. It's just to prevent diphtheria.
So that we don't have more new cases.
You don't have more new cases.
When you have it, you recognize it.
And the little one we have should be stopped to the BRS minimum.
That's okay. So in Osun State, any record of new cases of diphtheria?
Well,
you are aware of some.
As of today, as of this afternoon, I haven't had any additional case.
Okay, but how many have you recorded in Osun State?
But so far, I couldn't get the actual figure now.
Okay,
but I know
100
is not up to 100.
It's not up to 100.
It's not up to 100.
How do you people get trained? Who trains you? Who trains the Red Cross people? Well,
who trains Red Cross? They say Red Cross get trained based on where we started.
Okay.
For example, now I think you asked him when did he join Red Cross?
Yes.
He said from primary school.
I know.
Even he can't remember when he joined. I can't remember when I joined because
I'm just curious about who are your trainers.
Yes, our trainer. For example, now I am a trainer in the States. Okay. Some trainers, some our leaders trained me. So as I was trained, definitely I must train people. So that's how we get trained, and sometimes we have an international, we call it either workshop or seminar. Okay. That our like IFRC, as I already mentioned, and ICRC, they come around, they bring all the coordinators, all the program coordinators together.
Do you have any form of collaboration with medical people, health workers?
We are
doctors and nurses.
Yes,
since is the same. We are interested in the same goal.
Yes.
Trying to prevent death.
Yes.
Trying to keep people alive.
Yes.
Trying to help prevent the spread of diseases. Yes. Is there a nexus between your organization and that of the doctors and the nurses?
Yes.
Okay, what's that nexus?
Yes. Yeah. There's something we should understand.
Okay.
Anything we do.
Okay.
Anything we administer, we are taking it back to them.
Yes.
Doctors, and nurse.
Yes.
So every time we are taking it back to hospitals.
Absolutely.
So we have a very, even as Randy said, first aid is not about, it's just a paramedical.
Yes.
We have
something we want to do immediately, so that we do not let the situation become more serious.
The aims and objective of first aid is to preserve life, prevent the current condition from getting worse, and to promote very quick recovery.
Some of your trainers, do you have doctors among them?
Yes, yes, we are even we have doctors among our trainers. We have doctors among the State Executive Society.
Where can, if I want to join, how do I join?
Yes.
Because I'm sure these viewers at home, I'm sure who have been following our discussion, a good number of persons are beginning to see that rather than just have a first aid box at home, they also need some requisite training to be able to intervene. Because a number of lives may have been lost when something that could have been done immediately was not done. So how can somebody be part of this? How do I join? I want to become a member of the Red Cross in Osun State. How do I join?
I love that question.
Yes, please.
Yes, how I can join. Let me start from all the categories we have. We have in Red Cross, we have JLC, which is Junior Red Cross, which are meant for the way we joined, the way my other colleagues joined. Primary school, secondary school, our institutions, and the likes. So if you are in any institution or any academic setup.
Do you guys have these groups? Do you people have your
we have school
units?
We have school units.
Strong enough.
It's very strong. If I'm permitted, let me just mention like 2 schools or 3. For example, this Our Lady and St. Francis schools at Isaliaro.
Yes,
we have a very vibrant units there. There's one school at Dada Estate. I immediately forgot the name of that. Olive branches. Is it only we are going immediately after Capital Hotel? We are going back to.
I don't know the name.
So I forgot the name.
Beyond that, but we should have it all over the schools. It's big. This is a very crucial thing.
Yes.
What is your organization doing about ensuring that all secondary schools in the state have this unit?
We've occasionally meet with those in charge of the Osun State educational setup. And we have been approved to walk into any schools.
How about the private schools? Do they also collaborate?
Yes. We have meeting with ANCOPs, those primary school, private school organizations.
Schools,
we meet with them. We have even some of them do call us to come and have.
So that's for the junior.
That's for the junior.
Apart
for the junior, now we have our branch office beside Bodofon. Beside Aregbe. Let me try to describe. If you are entering that street that leads to Baptist Girls High School from Aregbe, immediately you enter that street, just raise up, you see that building upstairs facing that road.
How often do you meet?
The office is open from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. every working day. Every working day. To get to the office, then you collect a membership form. But there's something we need to do. We can go before. And it's either we come for or from the angle, we can log on to www.nigerianredcrosssociety.org/database. So from that place, you register online to our national society as a member. Then you now move into our branch office to collect a membership form. You fill, then you undergo some training.
How much do I pay?
There is only the membership form you pay for, but I can't know that one of it now. But as part of membership form, then if you are trained, if you want to receive certificates for training, if you are trained for free, just to get there, you pay for the certificate.
Where am I going to get trained? Do you have a school?
It's our training.
Isn't that your office?
We can be trained in office. We can, for example, now let me use Spring FM, Spring television station as an example.
Yes, Western Spring rather.
Yes, please. We can, all the staff here, we can bring our training down to this place and train all the staff.
So these people can be trained here?
Yes. Even we've trained road safeties at their place. We've trained army, we've trained police, we take our training to where we want to train.
More like a mobile school, mobile academy.
Yes, we can take our training, we can bring our training down to you.
Oh, that's good.
We bring our training, our major aim is just for you, get trained, and know.
But it's like you have cadres. You're talking about junior.
Yes, it's a.
I do an exam.
It's a process. No training without text.
So you do exam.
Yes.
So some people can fail.
Yes, as I'm sitting right now, it's not a matter of that certificate.
Yes.
Before we can award you a certificate that you are bona fide Red Cross member, we must be sure that you know what you want to do. So even let me quickly define first aid.
Okay.
First aid is the first skilled treatment given to a casualty by trained one, tested two, and certified.
So that we just don't have some quacks parading themselves
as a member,
and saying that he already knows how to handle it and is not allowing people to function.
And there was something important. If you are not careful, you want to try to assist the casualty for your first. I mean, let me use this word. You being a first aider, not ending up being the first killer. You are a first aider. For you not being a first killer, you must know what you want to do.
Okay, so people have to do exam. What's the KEDA, the highest level?
Yeah, the highest level is the trainer.
You guys are the peak of training.
We are the peak of training.
How do you get sustained financially? How do you get funds? Because you can't be bringing doctors, nurses, people coming to train, like you're coming to train us in Western Spring Television now. They need to enter Gorope to get here, or fuel their car or something. So where do you get your money from?
Thank you. Our financial aspects will have been majorly addressed by our branch secretary, Person Mr. Oguleye Tolulope Ebenezer. But I can see, in behalf of, I can still say one or two things which I know.
Yes, please.
As I'm speaking right in front of you, I have amount I'm paying to the society every year. We call it an annual deal. Mandatory. As long as you are a member, that one is there, certain. Then apart of that, we have some voluntary givers at times. They just try to. You write them? At times we write if we need to. And some people, they would also they want to appreciate, they see what we are doing, and they cannot be member by voluntary by service, but they want to be member by their financial. So we have some financial membership. Okay. They are very busy. But you know, they can be member just to try to,
especially for those who have benefited from the services of the Nigerian
Red Cross,
or people who have the milk of kindness to help humanity.
Yeah, we have them in
okay, so you have an account. You have where you.
Yes, we have the society have the account in the state, and we have anything that have a management also must have.
Because I imagine you'll be using a lot of some form of. Visuals, these things that you use to demonstrate.
Yes, we have to
demonstrate how to resuscitate. These are very expensive.
We call it mannequins. We have our mannequins and all our gadgets and
all of that.
Yes.
Viewers at home, I think we can keep talking like we have seen on the screen how basic first aid with the Nigerian Red Cross is being done. I'm sure that we will also understand and appreciate the role of the Nigerian Red Cross. If you have never benefited from them, you will not know. There are moments in which the doctor is not there, the nurse is not there. It's just the Nigerian Red Cross officer that comes in and says, please, no, don't touch the patient that way. Don't carry that person that way. This is what the Nigerian Red Cross do. I have had the privilege of speaking with two trainers, and I'm with trainer OTUN GABRIEL ELUFOLAJU, who is a disaster management officer, Nigerian Red Cross OSUN State, and I've also spoken with the other segment with trainer BURAIMO TAOFEEK OLAOLUWA, who is a branch training officer, Nigerian Red Cross OSUN State. It's been a pleasure speaking with you, sir.
Thank you very much.
And our viewers at home, I want to encourage us to encourage our children, even ourselves. I'm sure there's no barrier of age.
No.
So at any age, you can actually join.
And no barrier of anything.
Of age or anything, because neutrality.
We are neutral. Thank you very much.
So it's a pleasure, viewers, having to speak to these wonderful officers. I'm your regular anchor on this program, The Spring Clinic. I'm Dr. ADEOYE OYEWOLE. Looking forward to having you this same time next week. Bye-bye.
Sports is a culture on its own. It has its own language, its own people, with their own way of life. The world of sports is never void of actions, stories, dramas, and scandals. I guess you need a sports show that can walk the walk and talk the talk.
On this show, we answer all your sporting questions. The whens, the whys, the wheres, and even the what ifs. Sports Spring is that show that will give you that new lease of life you've been looking for in sport journalism. Join me, Joseph ADEOYE,
And your sports Amazon, Nengi Ernest.
on this station, Western Spring Television, channel 190, only on Star Times.
Let's talk sports. Let's speak the most universal language of the world.
Ahmadu Bello, a Prince Royal, was born 6th of December 1910 at Raba Village, Sokoto, northwestern Nigeria. His father was a district head and heir apparent to the Sultanate throne from the house of Usmanu Danfodio, a religious and social reformer who brought the Habib dynasty under the Fulani Caliphate in the beginning of the 19th century. Ahmadu Bello raised the bar of political consciousness in participation when, in 1944, he engineered the establishment of the Northern People's Congress (NPC) as the first political party in northern Nigeria and the rallying point for politicians in the region before independence. History will not forget Ahmadu Bello for his charisma and political sagacity, which provided easy passage for his kinsmen to assume political and administrative positions in Nigeria's post-independence era. The distinguished elder statesman and Sardauna of Sokoto has his face on his country's 200 naira currency as a mark of honor to one of the architects of Nigeria's independence. Western Spring Television identifies Ahmadu Bello as a watershed character in history.
Turn it up! It's the Wild Wild West. And Western Spring Television is pulling out all the stops to make sure that you don't miss out on every of the fun and happenings around you. Yup, we've got you covered because your girl got all the juiciest tidbits and entertainment news from around the world. Cross over to the chocolatey side of entertainment. Join me, Chocolate Cassie, on Eccentric as we take you into every bit of the juiciest news, fashion, music, movie updates, and other trending conversations. Together on the show, we'll get personal with your favorite celebrities via phone call, Zoom, or even live here in the studio. Eccentric will be shown on your TV screen on Western Spring Television, channel 190, only on Star Times.
Can you imagine the feeling when you get your news as they break with facts and clarity? Our news are reported as it is.
In Africa, and all those who masterminded the way it happened, we have to pay a price.
Enjoy Western programs, projecting culture and tradition to the world. Brought to you as the break and recapped every hour for your update.
You must never forget the sacrifices of the heroes of Nigeria's democracy.
Produced and brought to you in a unique way never before seen.
Western Spring.
Western Spring.
And Western Spring Television. Television is coming home in your color and culture.
Evelyn Ohiole, King Eve. How are you today?
I'm good, I'm fine, I'm alive.
I really feel like she's not giving the right answer to the question. When one asks you, how are you? And you said, you're saying, I'm alive. It's very annoying, seriously. How are you? I'm fine. I feel I'm fine will be the right answer instead of I'm alive. Not that I asked you if you're dead before.
Go and check all these
40 years, 50 years, 60 years, everybody, they are extraordinarily sexually active.
I feel is being unnecessarily hyper when it comes to the issue of sex, because we talk about other topics and he feels so reserved. He really doesn't have anything much to say when it comes to other stuff. But when it's the issue of sex, I believe he's being unnecessarily hyper. That's when I have to pick an issue with him. I mean, it's just being unnecessarily there when we're talking about sex. Just like a child, his mom just got him his favorite chocolate or ice cream, very happy, doing as though if he doesn't have sex for a day, he's going to die.
When it comes to finance, women also support their husbands financially. You need me emotionally. You need me spiritually.
Cassie is an amazing person, but I hate the too much attaché to that gender. I need you spiritually, I need you mentally. I can get these things anywhere with money. If you go by the topic was, who does marriage favors the most? You know how many jobless women they marry every Saturday? They are saying it favors you, favor. Are they vague so?
Growing up, when I was in the world, we've heard of
Who are you now?
Well, MC Too Much said, he likes saying when I was in the world. And the last time I checked, well, it looks a bit innocent, facially, but deep down, is actually out of this world. We're all in the world now. As long as you're alive, you're in the world. So, MC Too Much, I beg when you talk about that. I don't want to hear that. Next time you talk about I kiss my words.
I think I have a problem with you saying ladies are champion, and that's the problem. Always trying to attach too much importance to that gender.
It's giving insecurity, it's giving low self-esteem, it's giving a blatant display of egoism. Because at the end of the day, a man who is secure in his words, a man who is confident of who he is, will not really be disturbed as to whether women are being referred to as champions or not. I mean, at the end of the day, Joseph's a really great guy, but whether he likes it or not, women are champions.
Born 16th September 1923, named Harry Lee Kwan and known as Lee Kuan Yew, he was often addressed by his initials of L.